The Florida Conservation and Technology Center is a co-op between Tampa Electric, the Florida Aquarium, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, and the University of Florida works with them out there as well. It's over on the east side of Tampa Bay, south of downtown in Apollo Beach, next to the Big Bend Power Station. But it's really spread out. It's got 2 parking lots. I honestly think they should have 3 parking lots. What they call the main parking lot is at the north end, where Tampa Electric has their Manatee Viewing Center. They have another parking lot that they call the overflow parking lot, and it's somewhere in the middle of everything, next to what Tampa Electric calls their Clean Energy Center. They have a really nice bay observation tower on the grounds here as well. If you want to access that bay observation tower, that overflow parking lot is probably the closest walk to that observation tower. At the southern end of this whole conservation center is where the Florida Aquarium does their stuff. They have a sea turtle rehabilitation center there, as well as a coral conservation center. The University of Florida is also working there to raise sea urchins. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is also located there as well, although their area isn't up and running just yet. They have this place called the Marine Fisheries Enhancement Center, where they plan on raising fish to restock the water in the coastal areas. They actually have a parking lot directly to that area, but it has a gate with a keypad entry on it, and it's closed to the public. So if you want to see this whole area there by the Florida Aquarium, you're going to have to walk there. They also have a youth camp at this same southern end where the aquarium does its work, where they host schools and stuff like that. They got canoeing and kayaking for kids, and they do all kinds of things there. This place is very spread out, this whole conservation campus. So if you don't want to walk, you're going to be disappointed because you're not going to be able to see it all. You're probably only going to be able to go to that Manatee Viewing Center because there is a parking lot directly there. Now, having said that, if you do want to hike around, this place is awesome. The trails are really, really nice. And because there are so many highlights and 2 different parking lots, you can actually adapt your walk and make it as short or as long as you would like to. What this whole area really amounts to is this really awesome place to go, where there's a lot of really cool stuff to see. And I might mention, it's all entirely free. Everything that you can do here is totally free. Even the parking is free. I actually made 3 trips out to the Florida Conservation and Technology Center. The first time I went out there, it was kind of an impulsive thing, so I went later on in the day, and I parked in that overflow lot, and I walked over to the Manatee Viewing Center. The Manatee Viewing Center is open to the public from November 1st through April 15th of each year. And during that time, the center is open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., even though their trails close at 4 o'clock every day. One thing that has to be said as I'm explaining this to you, so you don't go there to visit and find yourself a little shocked, is that the viewing center sits along this large channel on that eastern edge of Tampa Bay. And just on the other side of that channel sits a massive coal-burning power plant, which is kind of an eyesore when you first see it. Now, you have to understand that the manatees would not even be there if not for the power plant. And so if not for the power plant, we wouldn't have a Manatee Viewing Center, and we wouldn't be there either. What happens is that coal-burning power plant dumps warm water into that channel. It actually draws in Gulf water to cool the plant's processes, and then it dumps the clean, warm water back into Tampa Bay along this channel, which warms the water in that area. Now, manatees like warm water, and when the water in the bay gets about 68 degrees or cooler, it's too cold for the manatees. So they seek out areas of warmer water, and many of them are drawn here. This is why the viewing center is only open during winter months, because in the summer months, there really isn't a lot of reason for the manatees to come here. having said that, I'm super impressed with this Manatee Viewing Center. It had like this amusement park attraction type of feel to it. You walk through the parking lot, and the parking lot's all nice, and there's, like I said, people directing traffic and everything, and you come up to the front of this, and the buildings are kind of raised up, which makes sense, right? Because the platform's raised up above the waterway where you're going to see the manatees at. They've got an education center up there in one of the buildings. They've got a gift shop up there. They've got a cafeteria up there. Now, I said that everything was free, right? Well, the food's not free, but everything as far as seeing the manatees and the Florida Aquarium and the parking is free. The cafeteria, the prices are ridiculously low. They might as well be free. Remember when I said when you first walk up, these buildings were lifted up in the air? Well, there's areas underneath these buildings with tables that you can sit out in the shade, and they offer great places to chill if you want to eat, and if it's hot when you get there, places in the shade to eat. Also on that ground level, below the South Shore Cafe, that's what they call their restaurant there, they've got a stingray petting pool. And they bring kids in there, and they line these kids up around the whole thing, and they swim around, and the kids can pet them, and they explain the stingrays to the kids and talk to them about them, and that's super cool. Downstairs, between those two buildings, kind of just south of that stingray petting pool, they've got a short trail down there that really sneaks up on you. If you're not looking for it, it's really easy to miss it, and you don't want to miss it. They have this walkway that goes out into the bay. It's actually a 900-foot walkway they call the Tidal Walk. Remember, the plant dumps their warm water back into this channel. Well, this walkway kind of goes along the southern wall of that channel, and it goes out a good long chunk, and you walk out this thing. First, you go through this huge, long mangrove tunnel. It grows completely over the walkway, and then you go out the other end of the mangroves, and you hit the bay, and you just continue to follow that wall out into the bay. So that first time I went there, I just mainly wanted to see the Manatee Viewing Center. I've told you about everything but the manatees, and maybe I'm putting off on that because I didn't really see a lot of manatees. But let's go back upstairs, past the cafeteria, and out to the actual manatee viewing area. You're up on this raised, like a boardwalk, platform decking up in the air, and you walk along the side of the bay, and you can look out into that channel. The only problem is I made 3 trips out there within a week, and on my 3 trips to the viewing center, I hardly saw any manatee at all. The pictures where you look at them show like tons of them all over this channel. And the first time I went there, I only saw like 3 manatee. But then after looking at the 3 of them, I was like, whatever. I'm okay with that. I'm not missing much. They're not the most exciting things to look at. They don't move much at all, if any. The second time I went there, I actually saw no manatee at all. I saw none. There was like no manatees floating around. But next to the walkway looking down, I did see a small shark that was like 4 feet long. That was cool. And then I saw what really tripped me out and impressed me. I saw like 30 tarpon. And the tarpon, to be honest with you, stole the show. They weren't moving a lot either, but I had no idea that tarpon were so huge. I came home and looked it up after that. Tarpon can reach up to 8 feet long and 280 pounds. So here's this huge school of these massive fish. I'm sitting there looking at them going, man, if I was swimming around in a school, these things came up next to me, that would totally freak me out. That second time I went there when I saw the tarpon, I wanted to walk over to the observation tower, and I wanted to check out some of the trails and hiking paths in the area, because the first time I went here, they seemed really, really cool. And I did hike out to that observation tower from the Manatee Viewing Center parking lot. The trail there is really nice. They had these little stations along the way with plaques that informed you things. Like there were some stations where they had plaques that marked the trees and bushes, so you can kind of learn them as you go. They also have plaques that inform you of the areas you're hiking through. Like they had one plaque that referred to the coastal high marsh. Another one was titled Fascinating Fiddler Crabs, and it talked about the crabs that burrow in the area. They had other ones that talked about information about hammocks. Another thing that was nice about this trail is that they had the area labeled in case of emergencies so that people would know where you are. If somebody got heat stroke on a hot day or something like that out there, for example, you could call this phone number and say, we are at area F, and they'd know right where to come to help you. So pretty cool. As you get closer over by that observation tower, that terrain changes again, and the pathway turns into a deck walkway through the mangroves. And the closer you get to this observation tower, the taller it looks. And I finally get there, and I'm at the bottom, and I'm like, well, I'm not super motivated to do that. There was a lady sitting there at the bottom, and I actually joked with her. I was like, so where's the elevator at? And she was like, I know, right? She goes, that's why I'm waiting down here with the kids. I don't want to walk all the way up there. But I got to the top of the tower, and the view, man, the view from the top was absolutely amazing. You get up there, and if you look back down the way you came up, you can see the boardwalk through the mangroves, and it looks like it goes on forever. You can kind of watch it disappear off into the distance. If you keep scanning over to your left, you can see the Manatee Viewing Center. I'm not going to lie to you, it looks a lot farther than 3/4 mile away. It looks a long ways away. I'm sitting here going, man, it felt long ways walking here. Looks longer than that looking back. The map says it's 0.71 miles, but it sure looks longer than that. And then you keep looking that way around to the left, and there sits that huge, ugly-ass, coal-burning power plant sitting there. And like I said, it does create an interesting dichotomy to see that amongst all this beauty. And if you continue looking out to the left, you can see the channel that goes out to the bay and the mangroves in that area. It's really picturesque. It's worth the hike. In all seriousness, it was a really, really nice place. Definitely worth it. And I had a great time hiking out there and then getting up to the top. The third time that I went out there, I wanted to walk to the southern end where Florida Aquarium is doing their work. Now, Florida Aquarium, they're doing some groundbreaking work with helping our world's coral. I first heard about what they're doing as far as replenishing the coral system in Hawaii years ago. That's how groundbreaking this is. I heard about what Florida Aquarium is doing in Hawaii, 6,000 miles away, years ago. Now, that place just opened up. The Manatee Center, like I said, it's been there for a while. So this, at the southernmost end of the campus here, still has some room for growth. That Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, they're located there. Their area where they're going to be breeding fish to restock, that's not open and running yet. So that still has a ways to go. The Coral Conservation Center there that I really wanted to see, at this time, it just consists of a couple of greenhouse-looking buildings that you can't really go into or you can't go near at the moment. From the Florida Aquarium's turtle rehab building next door, you can see them. And at this time, they have a live camera feed and some information boards. But they don't really want you to go into them because they need a sterile environment. They are in the process of trying to build like a way for people to view it more. They want to add more greenhouses and a walkway around where you could look through. But they don't want to let everybody just get inside this place where they're trying to breed this coral at. I walked over to Florida Aquarium's building on that side of the campus, and they have a ramp up to the top level. And there was a lady standing there, and I walked up there, and she's like, hi. And she was basically just there waiting to explain things and answer questions, which I thought was really cool. She was super nice. She was really informative. She walked with me around the building and explained the whole place to me. She explained the Turtle Rehabilitation Center there and was saying that they had 5 turtles at the moment. And so that was really cool to kind of see what they were doing to help get these turtles healed up so that they can re-release them back into the wild. Around the corner from when you first walk up to the ramp and see the Turtle Rehabilitation Center there, you turn the corner And the University of Florida has a section there, and you can watch them right through the glass there. They're working on helping to raise sea urchins, and they've got a plaque on the wall that talks about why they're raising sea urchins. The sea urchins help with the coral regrowth. So the University of Florida is there working on raising sea urchins. If you go past that area and walk around, they have a veterinary hospital. So past that vet hospital is where they have a corner set aside to explain what they do with coral regrowth. They are doing some wonderful things with coral here at the Florida Aquarium Center, and what they're doing is really, really cool. So that is 3 trips out to the Florida Conservation and Technology Center. And I can't give the place any more praises. It was absolutely amazing every single time that I went out there, and they are doing some amazing things out there. If you enjoyed watching this video, I would invite you to check out the podcast of mine. I have a podcast called Exploring Tampa, Florida and Beyond. And I actually took the audio that I used in this video from episode 24 that was titled, real shocking, the Florida Conservation and Technology Center. And I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a good day. We'll catch you later.